Okay, well, I started watching this video, just got about 3 minutes into it, and this is the Bondi Beach incident. Really, really upset about these incidents that keep happening. And within the last 24 hours or so, there's been this incident and the Brown University incident, both of them very bad things. And then of course we got on YouTube, we got all these things going on here. Yeah, the flooding, the Syria thing, all of this. It's very difficult. And I'm gonna do a reaction video. Reaction to a reaction. So this is Nux Taku here, also known as Nuxanor. And he does a lot of these reactions. But you know what? I don't really want to do this. What would I like to do? Well, what I've got up here, let's see, what have I got up here? I've got a cat video. I'd really like to watch this instead, or Saturday Night Live, or the weather. Yeah, we've got, what do we got down here? We've got Max Velocity. Yeah, he does good weather stuff. I'd like to do that. Or maybe I'd like to play Wordle instead. But I'm gonna watch this reaction, and we'll see how far I can get into it. I don't like watching someone's entire reaction because I feel that's kind of iffy to watch the entire thing. You could just go there and watch his thing directly. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Let's rewind and start again. Oh, and then I'm gonna have to, what am I gonna do? Okay, gonna have to get the, there we go, we're gonna turn it up. Okay, hopefully that's the right thing. There we go. And then here we go. Okay.
Absolute nightmare scenario. The thing that I was told never happens just happened. Apparently, when you import people that are part of groups, they commit acts of terror. Over 2,000 members of the Jewish community held a Hanukkah celebration in Bondi Beach, Australia. 2 men armed with guns opened fire on the crowd in a giant terrorist attack.
Yeah, he is taking out the words that might get him demonetized or shadow banned or other things like that.
There was a large Jewish gathering for the first night of Hanukkah, and there was a gigantic attack. This took place in Australia, part of Western civilization that is killing themselves with suicidal empathy, importing freaks and retards from around the world. And as you can see, this is everyone running out of the beach after shots were fired. Now, the horrible news is, well, the good news is they caught the guys, they arrested them.
Oh, man.
They actually caught these 2, they pinned them down. I'm pretty sure one of the 2 was killed on the spot. And the police are, of course, defending the obviously. The poor terror, they probably just have a mental illness, guys. They probably just have a mental illness. So, anyway, to make things infinitely worse, well, this is, unbelievable, this situation. It's rattling, it's shaking. You're not ready for what you're about to see. You are not ready for what you're about to see. It's a nightmare. We literally invited these freaks onto our ghosts. Like, dude, we did everything we could to propel the invaders and the barbarians from our shores for the last 1,400 years. And here we are with suicidal empathy, opening the gates, literally welcoming the orcs into the Shire. Obviously, I don't want to cast aspersions.
Yeah, I've been seeing stuff about this Bondi Beach incident and the Brown University incident off and on for the last day or so, and I kept trying to avoid it. I was like, I don't want to look at that. And then when I did look at it a little bit, the news kept saying, well, we don't have much information, or we're just contradicting the information that we set out before. So I was like, well, I'll wait for a while and see when they get the good information. I don't know, maybe I should go to Wordle and play this instead. I'd really like to avoid the icky stuff, but we're getting into a world where you can't really avoid the icky stuff. Yeah, we can't really avoid the icky stuff. Oh man. And it's just becoming common. Oh, yep, it is becoming common. Well, okay, I'll go back there. Let's go back there and try to watch it some more. Okay.
I don't want to jump to conclusions. We don't know who the terrorist actually was. Sure, we don't know, we do now, but we don't know who it was. Let's not jump to conclusions, guys. The moment this took place, Australian Twitter was blowing up saying, yo, let's not jump to conclusions that it was an Islamic terrorist attack. Thanks, Australian Twitter, you fucking retards. Anyway, this is a video of a brave Australian legend, a hero, literally tackling and wrestling the gun out of one of the terrorists' hands.
Oh yeah.
Sirens in the distance.
Yeah, I saw a little bit about this guy.
Here, this is the terrorist.
Yeah, look at this guy.
Who just grabbed the guy.
He probably saved a bunch of lives right there, and he's really brave.
Absolute legend. This dude's the main character of this situation. Actual hero. And of course the terrorist is freaking out. And he shoots him, as he should. As he should. This person is absolutely, if this is self-defense to the extreme, you don't know if this guy has another gun on him, you take him down. No doubt.
Oh no.
Bro. Crazy.
Oh no.
Absolute insanity. Obviously, he doesn't want to get arrested for Islamophobia, so I assume he doesn't actually want to actually shoot to kill. Because, listen, this is the most cucked nation of all time. So, if you actually look at the unfortunate, horrible situation, at least 10 were killed in the very first moments of this attack, with dozens shot, 10 dead, and this is why you fucking need guns! This wouldn't have happened in America. Or in Israel, for the record. 2 guys with rifles, they would have been taken down immediately. Alright? There is no question in my mind that this shit only was allowed to happen because in the hyper-cucked situation of Australia, where guns are actually the bad guys, all you do is limit and cuck your entire populace to get absolutely terrorized by a couple of retards. If this would have happened in America, he might have gotten like 5 shots off before getting taken down. Or Israel. Because the reality is, America has the best policies in regards to the Second Amendment, and Israel has an armed population because of the amount of terrorist attacks they have to go through, because, they're used.
Oh no. No, this is very disturbing to watch. I really do not want these things to happen. Okay, we're gonna go back here to the Wordle. So let's go to the Wordle a little bit. Yeah, that's a Let's Play. Wordle is a video game. Yeah, it is. Okay, so let's see. Let's see. We could try this. Okay. Let's try it. Enter. Nope, it's still not working. Okay, I can't really think of that. Okay, let's go back here. We'll go back here. We'll try to watch a little bit more.
Used to this. They're surrounded by radical Muslims. See, these guys are getting used to it now because they're importing radical Muslims. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say Muslims? We're not allowed to do that. Breaking news from pamphlets. Bondi shooter was a far-right extremist who targeted a Hanukkah gathering. Wow! A far-right extremist? He was probably a Nazi. Maybe he was a Groyper, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. A far-right extremist. Let's look at their bio. Palestine flag. Oh, that's interesting. Palestine flag in bio. Far-right extremist. And this is what the news does all the time. They'll immediately say far-right extremist, when in the reality, it is not a far-right extremist. Oh my God, these
Oh,
pictures are
no.
crazy. So this is it's a
Oh,
Jewish
no.
Jewish cloth. It's a clothing that Jews wear, and it's covered in blood. It's unbelievable. It's
Oh,
crazy, bro. What are
no.
we talking about? Are we surprised that this is even happening? I personally am not. When you have an entire country that's bending over backwards to cuck itself for the sake of not wanting Islamophobia, the reality is it's absolutely inevitable. Just like October 7th, where radical Islamists murdered and butchered Jews because they were Jews. Here we are in December in 2025, where you have radical Islamists butchering and murdering Jews because they're Jews. It's the same idea.
Man. Okay. I don't think I can keep watching this. This is really hard to watch. I just, Nux Taku here, he's a really interesting VTuber. Been watching him for a lot of years. And he mostly did anime-related stuff and, mild trolling and memeing and stuff like that. And, he's got an interesting, peppy personality. And didn't always agree with him. But I like to watch him anyways. And that's something I think that is important in our society, is that we need to be able to watch people and be around people that we don't agree with every last detail of their beliefs. If you want to live in a world where all of the details of your beliefs completely match up with all the details of everyone else's beliefs that you surround yourself with, you're going to be living in a very strange world. And this is how people end up in situations where they're fighting with each other. We don't want fighting. We want people to be able to get along. And so even though I agree with some of his stuff and I disagree with some of his stuff, I still like him and I enjoy watching him. But this particular one, I think, is just, there's too much violence here. I do not like seeing the violence, and I do need to get educated about major world events. I'm going to have to watch some stuff about this, but I don't know if I can really watch any more of this today. It's hard to see. And let's go back to the Wordle. Let's see, what could we get here? So I am not super good at the Wordle, but I'm not super bad. Let's see, what if we do this one? No, that's not a word. That's not a word. Okay. Okay, what do we do here? It's got to be SL or SC, right? Those are pretty much the only possibilities. Oh, well, it could be SW. Okay, SW. Well, oh, maybe this one. Is this one? Let's try this one. Okay. Oh, there we go. There we go. There we go. Oh, there we go. See, I've got a pretty good distribution. I even got 10 of them right there in number 2 slot. Those guys were fun. Pretty much, like the first word I got was super close, and so then it was pretty easy to guess the second one. So that's really mostly luck-based, the second one. But the third one, I can sometimes get these. I'm not really good at it, but I'm not terrible at it. I lose patience a lot, though. I lose patience with Wordle, and then I start making wild guesses. Okay, well, I'd really rather watch cat videos. This guy has amazing, weird cat videos, and a dog. Yeah, a dog. And, oh man, well, you know what? I don't want to watch Nux. He's got Nuxanor, and he's also got Nuxtaku, those two channels. I don't want to watch that. But I like him. You should subscribe to this guy. He's got a lot of cool stuff. But I just can't watch this today. It's hard to stomach. I think, I did have a video. Where is it? I did have a video here. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Okay, where is it? There we go.
In America today, you can't afford a home. You can't find an affordable rental. Wages haven't kept up in 20 years.
Yeah.
Utilities are through the roof. Insurance is becoming impossible. And now it's becoming illegal to survive without any of those things.
Yeah.
Not illegal to steal, not illegal to harm, not illegal to scam somebody out of their savings, mind you. No, illegal to sleep in the only shelter you still have. Your vehicle, your van, your truck, or your RV. We've entered the next chapter of the affordability crisis, where being poor isn't just difficult, it's becoming criminal. Surviving. Let's be blunt. The system didn't collapse by accident. Housing didn't become unaffordable by coincidence. People didn't suddenly become irresponsible or lazy all at once. And now, cities aren't battling homelessness, they're battling the visible presence of the homeless. They don't want to solve it. They want to hide it. And
yeah. So, this is also a difficult subject, the homeless, and how America, which is where I live, is getting more and more difficult. And there's so many homeless, so many more than there used to be, and they're cracking down on them a lot. And but look at this guy. He's just some old guy. He's not even that old. He's just like a lower aged old guy, I'm guessing. Look, he's got a cat, he's got a dog, he's got a camper. And I remember when there were a ton of like living in your van, going across the country types of influencers. And now we don't have that. We do not have hardly any of that going on. And this guy, look at him. He's got 40,000 subscribers. Now, if you, that used to be something that you could make some money on YouTube, not a huge amount, but a little bit of extra cash. Now, but once the adpocalypse happened with ElsaGate and all kinds of stuff like that, the ad structure changed. It became a lot more difficult to make YouTube money. And right now, this guy, 40,000 subscribers, if he could get up to 100,000 subscribers, he would be making about full-time minimum wage, which is still not enough to get a home, but you know, that's pretty much what we want this guy to get into if he's able to. And now I've got a long history with the homeless. And yeah, I'm going to call them the homeless because, you know, the people that screech about, oh, now we've got to rename them the unhomed. And, you know, maybe a year or two later or 5 years from now, they'll have a totally new name that they want to name them to. Those people are just muddying the waters. They are not helping. They're just causing conflicts. I like to call it pedantic semantics. Yes, pedantic semantics. If you're getting involved in pedantic semantics, where there's only one correct way to say things, and that particular terminology changes on a regular basis, maybe every year, maybe every 5 years, and you're flailing around trying to make everyone conform, the pedantic semantics, no, that is not, that's not helping. So yeah, I call them the homeless. I still call them the homeless. And it's also, now when I was in college, which I was in college a lot. I first started going to college in the early 90s. Kept going part-time, running out of money, dropping out, making some money, go back in, go part-time because couldn't afford full-time, make some money, drop out. That kind of cycle kept going. So I was in college off and on from the early 90s until the big old housing crash in 2008, 2009. So I was in college a lot, and there were a certain number of college students that were like, well, we can save money by purposely being homeless. So there were always a few people on the edge of my friend group who were doing that. They were like, yeah, we'll save money, we'll purposely be homeless. And, you know, they'd do it for a year or two, they'd save a huge amount of money, and then they'd stop being homeless usually. So we knew people like that. And me and my husband did become homeless ourselves in the early 2000s. Now, we weren't hardcore homeless. We were not sleeping on the street. We were not sleeping in a car. We did not have a car at that point. We spent a lot of years with no car, just walking everywhere and borrowing cars and, you know, riding the shuttle and stuff like that. We spent a lot of years doing that to save money, but we found a wonderful place where we were able. So there was a friend of ours, and her husband. Well, it was a sad situation, and we ended up having to house sit this house, and so we were homeless house sitters, and we were sleeping on the floor, and me and my husband, and we only were able to live there as long as we sat there and packed items basically all day. So pack items, sleep on the floor, look for a new place. And we were homeless for, I don't know, 2 or 3 months. And we got into a new place. And this new place it was better than being homeless, but it was not ideal. So a very cheap place. So I'm going to tell you how cheap this was. So in the early 2000s, it was $100 a month for 2 people. That's the place we got into after we were homeless. And that's about as much money as we could afford right then, because we did not have money. And so $100 a month for 2 people. And what did we get for that? So me and my husband got a room in an apartment. And the apartment was, you know, a very old house that had been chopped up into apartments. And it was just falling apart. Okay, so there was no lock. So the apartment did not lock. Our room did not lock. Also, we did not have any, well, let me just say it, any toilet in the apartment. So the apartment, there was a little while when it had a working toilet, but they just took the toilet away, and there was no toilet. There was just a hole in the floor, which of course you do not use, and so there was no toilet. And there was, however, a condemned apartment in the basement with a working toilet. So we would go down the stairs. It was a long trip all the way to the basement, to the condemned apartment, and we could use that toilet. And there was also a working shower down there, so we could use that. Rooming. There were roommates, you know, what we call in America roommates, even though they weren't in the same room, they were just in the same apartment. You know, schizophrenic and all sorts of bizarre people would always be sleeping on the living room in the middle of the night. So yeah, it was cheap and it was scary. And yeah, it was dangerous. The electrical was all chewed up by a rabbit. And there was a rabbit that had destroyed the floor in a lot of places. So yeah, the floor was destroyed. So we were able to stay there for about a year and build up money, and then we were able to move out. And we're really happy to move out. Don't like living with someone who's got schizophrenia. That's difficult. Don't like finding complete strangers sleeping on the living room floor in the middle of the night. Don't like not being able to lock the front door. Don't like making the really scary trip to the condemned apartment. And sometimes there were people in the condemned apartment. Yeah, that was scary. So, yeah, we were homeless. And we got into that situation, and then we got out of there. We got into a better place. But really feel sorry for homeless people. There's a lot of stuff going on in the country, and it's getting harder for them. And this guy's got a bunch of stuff to say here. Let's listen to him some more.
And the easiest way to hide it is to make it illegal to exist without paying someone for permission. If you sleep in the wrong place, crime. If you park too long, crime. If your vehicle looks lived in, crime. If you try to survive outside the system, crime. You're allowed to be broke. You're just not allowed to look broke. Welcome to Offended Outcast. If you haven't had a chance to subscribe to the channel, take a moment and do so. It would really help out. So how did we go from poverty to public nuisance?
Yeah, you can see I'm not subscribed to his channel yet, but I'm gonna do it. I'm not logged in right now, and I don't want to, put in my password while you're watching or, waste time with all that stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna subscribe to this guy. I want you to subscribe to this guy. Yeah, I've got no viewers, so I don't know if this is gonna work, that I can influence anyone to subscribe to this guy, but yeah, you should do it. I'm gonna do it. You should do it. Let's get him up to 100,000 and get him that full-time minimum wage job type of income. That would be super awesome.
Think about how fast the definition has shifted. Poverty used to be a struggle. Then it became a stigma. Then it became an inconvenience. Now it's becoming a public threat. Municipalities are passing ordinances with language like public nuisance, vehicular habitation prohibited, long-term stationary parking banned, abandoned property removal. Translation: if you can't afford rent, your survival is now considered an offense. You can't live in a tent, you can't live in your van, you can't park your RV, not on streets, not in lots, not even on your own land in some areas. Let me say that again. You own land, your RV, your property, still illegal. What is that if not the criminalization of poverty? After all, they won't build affordable housing, but they'll build new jails. Here's the contradiction that should make...
So I wanted to add something here. So they did build affordable housing decades ago. And so what was supposed to be the way for really poor people to be housed? Well, it was mobile homes and mobile home parks. But that has been, that's been taken over by people who want to squeeze all the money, the poor people. That's not a cheap way. It used to be that if you were poor enough, you would go there, and the mobile homes did not have to follow the same housing codes as normal homes, because, the idea was that theoretically they're mobile. You could hook up a truck to them and haul them to a new place at any moment, so therefore they don't have to follow the normal housing codes. And they put a ton of people into that, and that started being not just for poor people, but for a lot of middle-class people, just mobile home park. And then they started squeezing them, and they started making the mobile homes flimsier and flimsier, and it got to the point where almost none of them were actually capable of being picked up and hauled off, so they technically shouldn't have qualified as mobile homes, but they still didn't have to follow the laws. So yeah, that was the way. And now they're trying to make, modular homes that are basically even cheaper and more falling apart versions of mobile homes that are falling apart. Yeah, they're trying to bring in all kinds of stuff like that. It's like, let's make it more like plasticky and more difficult to heat and more difficult to cool and fall apart faster and even cheaper. And all the landlords, they're doing the lot rent going through the roof. They're taking the mobile home parks and making it impossible to rent anymore. The lot rent, yeah, it's they did that. And so there are places to go. There's like tiny homes and stuff like that, but those aren't all that good a solution. And basically, they're just trying to close down all the poor people solutions. And I remember too, there were things that the poor people did. There was a lot of just jamming in a huge number of people to a small place, rent a house and put, 3 people in each bedroom and mostly young people doing that, you know, temporarily till they could afford a better place. But yeah, they don't let people do very much of that either. So they're like closing down all the avenues that poor people can use to kind of, you know, get along until they can manage to get themselves up to, you know, the slightly higher level of poor people or the lowest middle class area. They're closing them up. Let's watch them some more.
Everyone furious. Cities say they can't afford affordable housing initiatives. They say there's no money for low-cost building programs. They say tiny homes violate zoning. They say RVs are unsafe. They say car sleeping is a hazard. But they can afford new enforcement units, new ticketing systems, tow and impound facilities, fencing under bridges, spike strips on ledges, concrete boulders on sidewalks, more police overtime, more jail processing. They can afford everything except a solution. Because solutions don't generate revenue. That's the bottom line. Tickets do, fines do, impound fees do, court costs do, privatized towing does, private prisons do. Criminalizing poverty funds the system that created the poverty in the first place. Okay, move along laws, displacement as a new policy. Let's talk about these so-called move along laws. Politicians defend them by saying, it keeps the city clean, it keeps businesses safe, it protects neighborhoods. But what does move along actually mean? Move where? Move how? Move with what money? Where do they expect a single mother living in a minivan to move along to? Where does a 67-year-old on Social Security move along when the nearest rent is $1,400 a month and their check is $1,100? Don't make sense. Let's stop pretending these are policies designed to create order. These are policies designed to create invisibility. If they can keep you moving, they keep you unseen. If you're unseen, you're uncounted. If you're uncounted, they don't have to acknowledge you exist. All right. People imagine living in your vehicle is freedom. They see van life influencers on social media and think, oh, it's camping, oh, it's an adventure, or it's simple living. What they don't see is the fear. The fear that knocks on the window at 2 a.m. The fear of headlights pulling up behind you. The fear that your exhaustion looks like loitering. The fear that an officer who doesn't know your story and doesn't care. You're not parked, you're hiding in plain sight. And when that knock comes, when someone shines a flashlight into your only remaining private space, you're not treated as a resident. You're treated like you're trespassing on the earth itself. Try explaining that in a court appearance. After all, they took the American dream. Now they're taking the last resort. Our parents told us the same story my channel has exposed for the last 2 years. Go to school, work hard, buy a home, raise a family, retire comfortably. But the math has broken. The average rent is more than the average Social Security check. Starter homes are luxury products with granite countertops. Mobile homes are being bought by hedge funds. Tiny homes are being banned as substandard housing. RV parks have waiting lists and $900 monthly fees. So people turn to the last remaining option, their vehicles. And the response? It's not help, it's not compassion, and it's not reform. What is it? Criminal charges. You guessed it. This is no longer about the housing crisis. This is about the freedom to exist without being shaken down.
Yeah, I really agree with this guy, but I understand some problems too. I understand that the government needs to make some avenues available for hardworking, determined poor people to exit cleanly from homelessness. You can't just move them around constantly or persecute them constantly. But I also understand that the huge number of homeless does require some, huge solutions. The government really does not want to stop squeezing poor people, though. I think the corporations want to squeeze poor people, and government and corporations are basically really wedded together. And it doesn't matter whether it's Democrats or Republicans in there. Both of them are basically in the pocket of big corporations most of the time. And I think that, but it's hard though, it's hard. I mean, we know homeless people, me and my husband, we know them now. We've had a policy of being friends with homeless people for quite a lot of years. It's been a long time. We've had friends. I told you back in our college days, we had sort of the glamorous homeless friends, the ones who did it on purpose, and they were like, yeah, I still go to classes, I'm getting my life in order, I'm doing it for the money savings. We had those kinds, and we've also had other kinds of homeless friends. We've my husband more than me has reached out to the homeless, feed them a little bit, give them rides places, and some of that has gone in difficult directions. There have been people who given them all kinds of help, connecting them with resources, and it's still falling apart. It's still falling apart. There was this one guy. I'll call him Ted. Yeah, I'll call him Ted. There was this one guy. He was a good friend of ours. We were giving him rides, like I think nearly every day. Give him rides places. We were getting him food. He even showed up at some club meetings and stuff, in our actual, our normal social group. Stuff like that was happening a little bit. But he had some problems. He couldn't deal with the reality. He had an aversion to reality. And when there was this charity that got him completely set up with a place to live and all kinds of stuff going on, and he just lost his mind. He couldn't deal with it, and he went back to being homeless. And we couldn't really figure out why, but there was a lot of emotional strain, and we see him from time to time, but he's not our friend anymore. And there have been some other people that have, there have been people with, problems with drinking that we've been like, hey, we don't like that, but we'll give you rides and we'll give you food. And when people have those problems, sometimes they come and they cause problems for us, and we don't like to deal with the really problem aspects. And mostly we have said no to homeless people ever stepping foot inside our home ever. Mostly we've said no to that. Like, we will go out to them, they do not come to us. But there have been problems with homeless people discovering relatives of ours and then becoming extremely bothersome to the relatives in order to try to extract more from us. And that has been really alarming, to see elderly relatives being bothered by homeless people because they want us to, you know, buy them ice cream more often or something like that. And that's been disturbing. And recently, let me show you here, we've got the, oh yeah, there it is. We've got, it's December 14th, 2025. It's between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I gotta tell you that we had a homeless guy who really, really wanted to come to Thanksgiving dinner at our house. And there's a Thanksgiving dinner that he was able to go to out in the community. And we're like, yeah, we can give you rides to that. But he really wanted to come to our house. And this guy, I'll call him Dallas. Yeah, I'll call him Dallas. So Dallas was really wanting to come, and I was like talking to my husband about it. I'm like, I don't know if I can, you know. I'm really do not want homeless people to step foot inside my home. And he's got a drinking problem, and some of his behavior has been a bit questionable. I don't know if I want, and this was a guy that at that point I had not actually met either. So, you know, I also had the stranger phobia. Stranger in my home, don't want to do that either. And ultimately we did not bring him for Thanksgiving dinner in our home. We did not. We just gave him a ride to the charity. And he did eat, but he didn't come to our home. And I met him. I met Dallas since then. I met him. And he suddenly, he became employed. He did. And he got an apartment, or, well, actually it's not even an apartment, it's a house. And he's got it for about half the price that anyone normal would pay for a house. He was able to get the ear of the landlord, and she felt sorry for him, I guess. Or he's just really good at getting, you know, negotiating a good deal. I don't know, something like that. I don't really know the details. Maybe he's just really good at getting a good deal. But yeah, he's paying about half the amount that anyone would pay for a house in this area. And it's got all utilities included in that price, so even better deal. And he's got a house. So now he's got a job and a house. And Dallas is not homeless anymore. And he wants to come over for Christmas dinner. So I'm struggling with that. I don't know. It would not break the rule anymore to not have a homeless person step into our home. It would not break that rule, but I don't know if I can do it. I'm still thinking about it. I might do it. I might do it. But yeah, I'm not completely gung-ho about the homeless. But I also have a lot of sympathy for them. And there's sympathy, and there's fear, and there's a lot of complicated situations. But this guy here, I feel really sorry for him. The young people that are homeless are more likely to be the type that have problems when you try to help them. But this guy, he's very unlikely to have any problems. He just doesn't have a young person's stamina and a young person's income. That's all. That's probably the only stuff that's wrong with him, is he doesn't have a young person's stamina and he doesn't have a young person's income. And this is the kind of person that we're seeing on our streets more and more and more and more. There's just so many of the old people. You know, we need to care for them. We need to treat them right. You know, most of them are boomers. There's some silent generation, actually quite a bit of them, but not a huge amount. Silent generation, they're in substantial numbers. And then there's a tiny, tiny bit of the greatest generation. Greatest generation are almost gone. There's very few of them left anymore. They are upper 90s and into their hundreds now. But these old people, they built this great country of America. They did a lot of things, and a lot of them, they set up everything right, and they helped their kids succeed, and they helped their grandkids succeed. And now the country is going to turn around and say, America's going to say, oh, well, you're old, and you're not producing the output of a young man. I don't care if you produced that output when you were young. We're not going to do anything for you. And this is what the country is doing. This is what America is doing to these old guys. And I feel sorry for him. I think he deserves to have a pathway where he can get to the normal levels of lower poverty. I think that he does. And there's just so many thousands upon thousands of people just like him that also deserve that. They do. They also deserve that. Okay, let's watch a little bit longer and see what he has to say.
Okay, let's slow down a little, because I can talk policy all day. But there are real people trapped behind these lines of municipal code. A veteran who served his country, now sleeping in a truck because the VA can't keep up. A senior who outlived her spouse, outlived her savings, and outlived her protection. A divorced father trying to stay near his kids without losing custody. A single woman hiding in a Walmart parking lot because she's safer nowhere else. People working full-time jobs, delivering packages, stocking shelves, answering phones, who still can't afford keys. This channel's comments tell the real story. You're not lazy, and you're not freeloading, and you're not looking for a handout. You are surviving in a world where survival became a luxury service. You don't want special treatment. You want dignity. You want safety. You want to live without fear of being arrested or going to sleep. Let me say that again, because it's insane this even needs to be spoken. You want the right to sleep in the shelter you own without being treated like a criminal. Is that really asking too much? Okay, we're entering a new era. People aren't embarrassed to say they live in their vehicles. They're angry. People aren't ashamed they can't afford a $2,000 apartment. They're exposing how broken that is. The narrative is starting.
Yeah, see, one of the problems with the homeless crisis that's going on right now is that it's so much worse than it ever was before. And the number of homeless people, just look up the statistics. The number of homeless people who have full-time jobs or more than full-time jobs and are still homeless is way, way large. It is so large. It used to be that if you had a full-time minimum wage job or better than that, better than full-time or better than minimum wage, either one, that you could always afford like the worst housing, especially if you packed in a few roommates. You could always afford it. But it's not the case anymore. It's just not. And it's a big change in how housing works. And don't think that you're high enough on the ladder that the change can't work itself up to you. If things keep going badly economically in this country and the politicians keep deciding to turn their back on the homeless or Worse yet, use them to just grift money that we don't even know where the money went. You know, just look at some of the statistics for California. Look at it, how much California spends per homeless person. They could put them up in a really nice hotel, super fancy hotel all year round, or they could build them a house for that kind of money. It's just unbelievable. Yeah, we're in a different era of homelessness, and there are annoying things that happen when you try to help the homeless, but that's when an individual tries to help. And when institutions help, they should be a lot more successful than when individuals try to help. Institutions don't have any excuse. But there are people that help, and me and my husband, we're not that helpful. We don't do very much, and there's a friend of mine, of ours, that she does more. She has a basement that's disconnected from the rest of her house. She can just, lock it off and not go down there, and she lets homeless people stay in there. And she's had a bunch of trouble. There's been schizophrenic turf wars in her basement. There's been all kinds of weird stuff that's happened there. And I could never do that. I could never go that far. Even if we had a basement like that, I couldn't do that. But she has, and she's had a lot of trouble from it, but she still does it. She still does it. Okay, I'm almost out of battery here. I've been doing this for a long time. Let's see if I can get the last couple minutes of what he has to say before I run out of battery.
To change, and I'm hoping to help change it. For decades, the system needed people to believe if you're poor, it's your fault. But now, millions of people are starting to say, if we're all struggling, maybe the struggle isn't the flaw. Maybe it's the design. That's what frightens them. Not the vans, not the RVs, and not the tents. The unity. Because once people realize the system doesn't work for the many stop obeying the system. Okay, so now what? We don't wait for permission to live. We don't apologize for surviving. We don't accept that success is the only valid way to exist. Here's what this new chapter demands. Communities, not isolation. Shared resources, not shame. Mutual protection, not quiet surrender. Knowledge of your rights, not ignorance of the law. Self-sufficiency, not forced dependency. Because the system wants you compliant. It wants you scared. It wants you hiding. And it wants you silent. You know what terrifies them? People who are none of the above. The people in cars are not problems to remove. They are people the system has failed, and people who have now adapted. And here's what I want you to walk away believing. You are not a criminal for surviving. You are not disposable because you're not profitable. You are not a burden because you're not renting. If the cost of existing has become criminal, then the problem isn't the people. The problem is the system. They won't help you. They won't save you. But now they don't get to shame you anymore. They didn't destroy your future. They're just terrified you figured out how to survive without them. And now that you're awake, you're not just surviving the system. You are exposing it. I hope you've enjoyed tonight's episode. Until next time, folks, let's rise together.
Okay, well, there he goes. Yeah, I'm just about out of battery. Well, that's my first reaction video, and I guess I didn't do it entirely the way I planned. I had I had planned to watch Mr. Nuxanor, Mr. Nuxtaku the whole time, but instead I decided to go and react to this guy, Go to Jail or Freeze, Offended Outcast. I got reacting to him instead, for the most part. Although I did react a little bit to Nux, and he's a cool guy, so you should probably go and watch his whole video here. And but I just can't take the heartache today. It's hard to see people getting hurt. I really don't like that. But he's a cool guy, and mostly he's not talking about depressing topics. He's mostly not doing that, especially in his older stuff. But even nowadays, he's mostly not doing that. And so yeah, my first reaction video. Yay, my first reaction video. Probably won't be up till tomorrow, because I'm going to have to look at it and maybe edit it slightly. But yeah, that is a single take. That's a long shot that I did. Well, I hope I'm good at reacting. Hope I didn't overstep my bounds, and you know, I mean, I have a channel with almost no subscribers, so I don't think I really took away views from any of the people I'm reacting to.